At the end of today's gospel, we hear the parable of the fig tree. This parable includes a detail that will make sense to any gardener. If a tree or plant is not productive, it may benefit from having its roots stirred up and a little manure applied. In the same way, if we have stopped producing and growing morally, we may need to examine our root motives, untangle our lives from dead habits and bad influences. Prayer is the time to stir up roots. That is the reason we began our stewardship initiative for the parish last September with an emphasis on prayer. Prayer is effective. It changes us. It guides us. It puts us more in touch with our Christian values and gives us strength to live these values. I hope you are faithful to your prayer cards, which are still here on the Marian altar. In the Stewardship of Prayer initiative, each week on Facebook since March the 18th, there has been a brief description and/or connection to prayer. Also, Landon Boone, our new DRE, has a weekly post on Facebook with a lesson about God's teachings and how we can pray to create a deeper relationship with Him. The readings today emphasize the need to act right away. Moses is not invited to mull over God's request and to make some kind of counter-offer. Jesus warns his listeners not to assume that there will always be time to repent. God will provide the help we need to do what God asks us to do. What do I mean? Well, in our first reading, Moses objected that he was not a good public speaker. So God responded by promising to send Aaron to assist him. In the gospel, Jesus cautions against thinking that all suffering is punishment for sin. The Galileans killed by Pilate were not more guilty than others. The men killed by the tower that fell in Siloam were not marked out for punishment. This parish has catechumens preparing for baptism and candidates getting ready to be received into full communion with the Catholic Church. They are preparing to live more fully in God's truth about who they are. Their readiness to live in the full truth ought to encourage us to make the next step that God indicates for us. This leads to our stewardship of ministry and finances. You see, God is calling us to participate in spreading the gospel, the good news, through our actions, ministry, and to support those actions through our treasure, finances. So here's an update on where we are in those areas. The ministry cards were collected last October to help parishioners connect with the leaders of the various ministries. The parishioners' email addresses were sent to the leader of the particular ministry that they checked on their card. The ministry leader should have sent an email or called the interested parishioner to invite them to a meeting or event for that particular ministry. That doesn't always pan out. We're still trying to reach everyone who wants to be part of a ministry here at Holy Rosary. If you've noticed, every week in the bulletin on the stewardship page, a ministry group is highlighted with contact information. On March 21st, the leaders of the ministries got together to discuss ways to grow, share ideas, and make plans to help every parishioner find the ministry that is of interest to them. In the next few weeks, there will be a survey to help us know what time of day is best for our parishioners to meet and by what means of communication that will work best for them in obtaining and sharing information. We hope that in this process, we can develop a plan to continue to grow and make all parishioners aware of the many opportunities for utilizing their talents here at Holy Rosary. With regard to stewardship of finances, we currently have 213 commitment cards with a total commitment of $651,682. This represents 27% of the parish families, assuming the current census of 786. The average gift is $3,059.54 per commitment card. The average increase in giving per family from 2018 is 65%. Now, the truth is that we all have drawn back from what God has asked of us. We have all feared that God's requests would crush us. We couldn't handle it. Maybe that is why we haven't participated in a ministry or committed financially. In fact, it is the alternatives that we have accepted that have crushed us. When we are completely honest with ourselves, we can always identify some things that we need to start doing and other things that we need to stop doing. For example, how do we use our time, our money? Do we say that certain people or things are our priorities and then act in a way that contradicts such assertions? God's truth about us never leaves us where the truth found us. It leads us to the next step, as God in the burning bush led Moses to the next step. The truth of the matter is that God is more present to us in the Eucharist than God was present to Moses in the burning bush. Are we ready to trust God and take the next step on our faith journey?